Welcome to our LAN meetup, and we are so amazed to see you all here. Today, we have an amazing speaker, our in-house co-founder of LAN meetup. He's none other than Aaron Legier. He is Agile Coach, transformation consultant at Ventera Corporation. Aaron is everything about, very passionate about Agile. He is like a guru here. He's also a SAFe program consultant, and he's an ICAgile ACC certified and SAFe Agilist. He does trainings. He's all about Agile, and is a founding member of LAN Meetup. Today, Aaron Legier is going to talk about specifically the journey, project manager to Scrum Master. We all have this question in the beginning, how to convert projects into products. What's my roles of coming from project management to Scrum Master? So Aaron is going to give some awesome nuggets of information on that. So with that, I will give it over to Aaron.
Thank you, everyone, for joining. Let me do this. Let me begin by, so can you hear me okay?
Yes.
Project a little bit. Okay, I will get started. Let me share my screen here. So is everyone able to see my screen okay?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. So this is going to be very interesting. I will say this, the fact that I'm able to have this conversation for 45 to 50 whole minutes without being interrupted is going to be quite pleasant. I don't get that treatment. So with that, we will get started. So the definition of journey. So the title of this presentation is, Project Manager to Scrum Master, the Agile journey. And so, we all have had journeys. But before I do that, let me say this. First, I want to thank you. I want to thank you for your attendance. I know you could have been anywhere in the world tonight, but you're here with me, and I thank you for spending this evening with me tonight on this journey. So we'll start with my journey from to the presentation topic, actually. Let's start with that. So definition of journey, this is from Merriam-Webster, and it says passage or progress from one stage to another. It's an act or an instance of traveling from a place to another, or a distance, course, or area that is traveled. We've all traveled. We've traveled recently. I actually came back from a vacation. We've traveled in life. We've traveled in careers. We've traveled in many things. Particularly for me, my journey from project manager to Scrum Master started a long time ago. I won't tell you how long ago that it started, but it started a while ago. And there's a quote that's here on this slide that I find very interesting. It actually, it took me a while to get it. So it says, and this is from Dietrich Bonhoeffer, it says, there is meaning in every journey that is unknown to the traveler. And so for me, I thought to myself, I said, this is an interesting quote. So let me pop this little nugget into this presentation and kind of talk through that. So as I said, for me, there is a meaning in every journey that is unknown to the traveler. And so I'm thinking to myself, I said, self said, what's up? I said, how is the meaning of this journey unknown? Because for me, when I was a project manager, right? I knew what I knew what I wanted to be. I wanted to be a project manager. I wanted to deliver functioning, working software. Right? That's what I wanted to do. That was my mindset. That was what a project manager did. And so for me, it was looking at this quote, and it's like, well, journey. How do I know? What is it that's unknown to the traveler? Well, I know where I'm going. I think I know where I'm going, right? But it finally came to me in the sense that while I started this journey as a project manager, moving from moving from this waterfall monolithic phase gated delivery cadence to an iterative, customer focused, value added cadence, right? And so I started to think, I said, well, let's look at, for me, let's look at what it means to be and how that journey and how it evolved for me, right? What does that look like for me? Now, I will say this, it is not, and I do not mean to, there is no intent here for me to say to anyone who is a former project manager, who is a current project manager, who's a Scrum Master, who is an Agilist, who revels and loves all things agility, right? It is not my intent to say that what you're doing as a project manager or what you did as a project manager was just terrible. It was so wrong. No, that's not my intent at all. My intent here is to talk and speak to you about my journey and what it meant to me to go from, that project manager to that agile person, right? To that Scrum Master, to that Agile Coach, that person who loves the way in which we deliver working, functioning software, right? So I'll tell you a little bit about me. So my journey started, and I won't tell you how long ago, but it was the mid '90s, where I was in the Air Force, and the Air Force said, "Hey, we are looking for airmen who are motivated, who want to do more than just their particular job that they had in the military, right? We're looking for some people to do some other things. We're looking for process improvement." The Air Force, and my friends here, I know Mr. Delaney will laugh at me when I say this, right? We're smarter, not harder, right? That's our thing, right? He used to love to call me the chair force because I would always leave the chairs out in the office. But the Air Force said, "Hey, we're going to do this thing called total quality management." Total quality management. What's that about? Well, it's quality improvement. It's improving those processes that it may be relative to aircraft parts. It may be relative to flight line management. It may be relevant to air delivery functions, right? How do we improve those processes? How do we make things better for the customer? How do we make things better? And the customer being the Air Force, or the customer being whomever it is that you're delivering that cargo to, right? Whoever you're airdropping that information to, whoever is consuming that particular feature or functionality. And this is from the Air Force. This is in the mid '90s, right? So there's this whole just initiative, and it was amazing. And I'm like, quality. What quality? What's that about, right? So quality improvement, making things better, improving the end user's consumption of a feature or a function. It was my passion. I was hooked. I was totally and completely hooked, right? So fast forward. Fast forward to leaving the military and having an undergraduate in marketing, right, and sales. I was going to be a pharmaceutical sales rep, right? That was my thing. I was going to sell legal drugs, and I started working a television ratings company as doing user acceptance testing, which is really when I got my feet wet on project management and project management principles, the Project Management Institute, and I'm going to say it, that whole monolithic phase-gated process that is waterfall, right? And so for me, seeing the great stuff that we did, right? I will say that. So being a user acceptance tester, I represented the customer, right? I represented the customer. The challenge, though, was when that particular feature or that particular function got to me as an end user, and I'm representing that person, the need and the time that may have been the need for that particular piece of functionality had passed. And the bigger thing, the bigger thing was the amount of defects that were found associated. And again, this is not pointing at any particular organization or team. It was riddled with defects. You know, we did great stuff. It did get out. But the challenges that we faced were, well, did we, you know, we may have met the date, but the feature and the functionality, did it really meet what the customer wanted? A lot of times the answer was no. A lot of times the answer was no. And so that piece of what I did, it stuck in my head. Like, you know, if my passion is customers and value add and improving things for the end user, delivering value to that customer, am I really doing that? And, you know, and are we really accomplishing that, right? We're really accomplishing that. Now, I'm going to move to the next slide here. So I'm going to go back here. So what we're going to do is I'm going to ask, what are the, so I'm going to do Mentimeter here. So let's see, let me stop sharing here. I'm going to pull this up and then I'm going to share this. And I want you all, so this is Mentimeter. So just use your smartphones and your devices. And I'm going to ask you a question here. All right. So Lakshmi, can you see this okay?
Yeah, I can see it.
All right. So you just go here, www.menti.com, and then punch in this code. And I'd like for you to tell me what attributes, traits you think a project manager should have. Okay, so there's negotiation, organization, planning. We'll give it a couple minutes. Those are good. Those are definitely good. Empathy, systems thinking, yes. A lean practitioner. That's leaning towards agility. Forward thinking. Okay. Good negotiator, high functioning. Okay. Detailed, problem solver. Okay. All good. All very good. All relevant, all germane, and all solid attributes. And I'm going to read a couple more of these because there's a lot. Keep them coming. Supportive, negotiation skills. Okay. Patience. Well, that's good. That's patience. Scrum Masters need that as well. Being creative, being collaborative, being adaptability. Growth, I like that. Detailed. Transparency. Willing to take a task, or no, willing to take a risk. Okay. And team builder. Skills leader, motivator. Awesome. All right. So thank you for that. So now I'm gonna share. Go back to this PowerPoint presentation here. I'm gonna do more talking because I've got 45 minutes to do that. And I'm gonna share with you what are some attributes that were identified that are common, if you will, common to project managers. All right. Effective communication, right? One of the qualities, right? Good qualities, solid qualities of a project manager is the effective communication, right? And you can communicate at all levels. You can communicate with your peers, you can communicate up, you can communicate down. Project manager clearly explained project goals. Project goals are important as well, excuse me. And this is relevant or relative to tasks and responsibilities, expectations and feedback from a project perspective, all right? Strong leadership skills, absolutely. Good project managers have strong leadership skills. Effective project management, you know, leadership is not just, hey, I'm in charge, right? So in the Air Force, they taught me there's two ways to lead. You can lead by your rank, or you can lead by the respect that your peers, folks who are your subordinates, and your superiors. You can lead one of two ways. Lead with your rank because by virtue of you having it, or you can lead by the fact that these people trust you, they respect you, they believe that you know what you're doing and that you have their best interest at heart, right? And that's the type of strong leadership that you want, right? Good decision makers. Got to make those decisions. Got to make right decisions. Got to make wrong decisions. You have to make a decision. You have to, and I say this all the time, right, wrong, or indifferent, make a decision, right? There's always going to be something to act upon. There's always going to be a new feature. There's always going to be a higher priority, right? But you have to make decisions, and you have to make good decisions. And good decisions are sound decisions, are those decisions that are based on, now as a project manager, they're based on you, right? They're totally and completely based on you, because as a project manager, we're gonna get to a slide on that, right? You are solely responsible, right? It's your baby, right? If successful, it's you. If you're unsuccessful, it's definitely you, right? So making good decisions. Now, this is specific to project managers, technical expertise, and these are common, right? These are common, and I pull these from you can see the website here. Just 10 attributes of an effective project manager. Technical expertise, all right? Because project managers are essential in meeting their project goals, and so basically, the project manager, when you have that technical expertise, when you have that background in maybe that particular functionality or feature or software, it's good, right? Because you are the person who's making that decision, and then you are the one who can say, hey, you know what? Let's go this route, or maybe this particular integration or this particular plugin is better than not. Right now, again, this is the project management world. Not only practical, but theory as well, right? Because as a technical expert, I would offer that being a technical expert in project management, right? Having a PMP, having that certification, understanding Pmbok, right? That guide, I would say that's technical expertise as well, because it is heavy, and we'll get into that. It is very, very heavy, okay? Inspire a shared vision. An effective project manager inspires a shared vision. That's cross-functional. That is, I don't say cross-functional, but that is indicative of a Scrum Master. It also is indicative of a project manager, right? Team building skills. It's necessary because the teams have to work in unison. The relationships, they're challenged. Everyone knows this, right? There are good days and there are bad days on a project team. And an effective project manager, right, has those team building skills. You want to focus on the positive traits, focusing on those things that will make the team successful. Those things that you're treating them fairly and equitably across the project, right? Cool under pressure, right? I like that one. That's my favorite. That's my favorite one. And so when I'm going to say this, and you probably disagree with me. Some of you will. Some of you don't know me, so you may disagree as well. But that was one of my things. I always try to do that. And I fall back a lot to the military. And two things from that. One, you lead from the front, and you never, and I mean never, let your troops see you disheveled or worried or worked up, right? And the reason that is because if the leadership is losing it, we're in a world of hurt, right? That's the first thing. The second thing is, I used to have a first sergeant, and I would ask him, see him in the mornings, how you doing? And we called him Shirt, first sergeant, first Shirt. How you doing, Shirt? He said, I'm Ducky. First time I heard it, I was like, I have no idea what it is that you're talking about. What does Ducky mean? And he said to me, he says, I'm swimming along real smooth on the top of the water. He says, but I'm pedaling like the Dickens under the bottom, right? Cool, calm, and collected, working it. I mean, he's killing it. Right? He's doing all those things. But when you look at him and you approach him, it's like nothing is bothering him, right? Definitely an effective attribute to have as a project manager. Good negotiation skills. If conflicts come up, if there are differences in opinion, just having that ability to negotiate and talk through those challenges. Negotiate with competing priorities. Negotiate with and maybe the SQA manager on an environment or pushing something into a particular environment because you need to get this done before a particular time, right? So having those good negotiation skills are effective as well for a project manager. Empathy. That is my second, probably, you know what, I will say it's my first or my second, right? It's maybe one and one, being cool under pressure and then empathy. Understanding and caring for people and being grateful, right? For what they've done to manage the project and to fulfill and support what you're trying to deliver. Now, it's a little bit muddy, if you will, because as a project manager, you really make the decisions. You call the shots. You are in charge of whatever happens on that project, right? And like I said, we'll get to it when we look at Pmbok. But having that empathy is great. It seems a little, because really the focus on project manager is the project manager, right? That is who she is. She is in charge. She runs it. He is in charge. He runs it, right? And then the last thing is competency, right? Competency, it's you are competent or you're not competent. And again, I'm just going to leave that there. But those are definitely, I agree with these. These are definitely 10 of the, along with those things that you all shared on Menti, but these are definitely called out. Now, let's talk about this great thing that is the Pmbok. Now, as we get further along in this, you're gonna, I'm gonna get over to this great stuff that is agility. I'm gonna get over to the values. I'm gonna get over to the principles, and you're gonna go. Some of you will like, well, wait, you just talked about this whole monolithic, process heavy project management guide, but you guys have this. You have the same thing in agility. You have the same thing in agile. What we'll do is we'll talk to the different points about it. We'll talk to what's the delta from these, heavy process steps, ownership, and we'll talk to business value, and we'll talk to the customer, and talk about the customer. We'll talk about the team. We'll talk about the difference in the roles. We'll talk about the difference in the thinking, right? So we'll get there, right? So let's have this conversation. So, and I'm just gonna read this one. So in a guide to the project management body of knowledge, right? That's the Pmbok guide. The areas that project managers are expected to, and these are some deltas, and I call these out specifically. You're expected to manage, and you're expected to control, right? So you're managing. Project managers manage. Project managers control. The things that they're expected to manage and control include. All right, here we go. Scope. Okay, scope is everything. Right? Because that's what you're delivering. So scope. Dang, that's all right. We'll start with scope. And they got to manage time. And I'm going to stop right there because I will say this. I've been in project management and software development for years, right? Time is Two things. It's one thing that you cannot get back, and it is one thing that you cannot stop. So the notion that you can control time as part of a project is a fallacy. That is the one thing that I will say I disagree with 150% as it relates to the guide, right? Managing time, it is impossible. It is impossible. Cost, right? There's cost that you have to manage as well. The quality, right? And I talked a little bit about that quality, right? I talked a little bit about that quality and how it was a struggle as a user acceptance tester, because one, we missed some dates. Two, there were defects associated with it. And maybe a couple of other things. Was I really the true end user? And did we really get that instruction? Did we really get that information, that feedback loop? Did we have that feedback loop to really get that quality, right? To really get that quality back to that end user, right? The other thing was, so we got scope, we got time that we're managing. We got, good luck with that. We got costs that we're managing. We got quality as a project manager that we're managing. We got human resources, right? That we're managing. Human resources. Okay, so that's that interactions. That's working with the team. That could be the internal team, and it's probably, some of the QA folks, and because they're separate, and it's developers, and maybe it's some of the other stakeholders, right? So we got all that stuff. Oh, and on top of that, project manager, I also want you to manage communication, right? Anything associated with this project and with this deliverable, you're responsible for it, right? You are totally and completely responsible for that, getting that communication out. So communication, right? Risks, managing risks, all right? Procurement, all right? That's, so wait, so I got scope, I've got time, I've got cost, I got quality, I got bacon, and I got human resources, I got communication, I got to send out communications. Right, and then there's risk. Well, risks are inherent in any project, right? They're there. Procurement. So now I got to get more funding if something happens and we burn through my burn is too high. Oh, and then I got to manage the stakeholders, right? I have to manage stakeholder expectations, even though, right, I may not engage with them on a daily cadence, even though I may not be able to show them a working, functioning piece of software, because it's 6 months down the road from when I initially, started the project, right? But I have to manage their expectations as well. So basically, a project manager managed everything. So I sit and think to myself. I said, Self said, hey, what's up? I said, man, are you crazy? This is really what you want to do for the rest of your life? And I said, yeah, it is. I want to do. I love the idea of a notional idea of a piece of functionality. Just think about, let's just say a cell phone, for example, a cellular device. A cell phone allows you to call, but no one uses that for that. But anyway, you can text, you can take pictures, you can order food, you can use it as a map. There's 6 million things, not 6 million, but there are a lot of things that you can do with a phone. And that was in someone's head. One day, a long time ago, someone said, I don't want to sit at home and I want to move with my particular device that I have. I love that, right? That was what drove me and said, hey, this is where I want to go. I don't want to sell pharmaceuticals. I don't want to, do sales. I want to build software. I want to see that come to fruition. That's what I want to do, right? I want to add value. I want to build stuff, programmatically. So I said to myself, I said, I didn't want to sit in a corner, because this young lady on here, I think she's on, I worked with, and she taught me SQL, right? This is great. This is super awesome. But I'm sitting in a room looking at a computer, and I'm looking at lines of code, and I'm running, and I'm like, is that really what I want to do? Because I like that interaction, right? I liked having those conversations. I spoke tech, but I also spoke stakeholder, right? So for me, there was a tipping point, right? Where I saw all the overall responsibility that I had for the success of the initiation, of the planning, of the design, of the execution, of the monitoring, the controlling, oh, and then of closing out that project, right? That's all on me. I'm like, oh gosh, this is great. I still want to do it. There's got to be a better way. There has got to be a better way. And this, again, this is my journey. And again, I'm not saying if you're a project manager now and you have your PMP and this Pmbok guide is the world, I'm not saying that's not right. I'm simply saying for me, in my journey, there's got to be a better way, right? There's got to be a better way. I love this one, right? And now this isn't, so if you look at the last line here, this is project manager takes charge and succeeds by getting work done through others. I love that. That is true. That is true. That is very true. Conversely, the project manager also has been the one to blame when things go wrong. Now that's not in Pmbok. That is a quote that I put in there, okay? So I'm not gonna go through this because this is, you know, heavy. But I do want to talk through some of the things that are here from a project management perspective. These are the 5 basic process groups that are identified in Pmbok, right? So Pmbok is basically the holy grail, right? It describes there's 49 processes that fall in line with the 5 basic groups. So there's 49 processes and 10 knowledge areas, right? That's a lot. That's a lot, right? And when I say phase gated, and when I say monolithic, and when I say heavy in documentation, I mean it, right? And the parts that are really the pieces that stand out to me coming from that project management world was the execution, monitoring, and controlling, right? The execution was that project management plan. And I know if you're a project manager and you're on this call, you know what I'm talking about. That project management plan is everything, right? It could be a 6-month plan, it could be a year plan. But here's what I do know. I don't know a lot, right? But here's what I do know. I know that I know what I'm doing today. I think I know what I'm doing tomorrow. I don't have a clue. I do not have a clue what I'm doing 3 days from now. So I used to ask myself, once that light bulb came on, I said, there's got to be a better way to do this. What's the value add? What's the business value of a scheduler and a project manager sitting down 2-3 times a week sometimes and looking at a plan that stretches for 18 months, or even 12 months, right? What's the value add there? Now, I know what I'm doing today. I think I know what I'm doing tomorrow. I don't have a clue what I'm doing 3 days from now. So is there really value add in that? Is that really working, functioning software? Is that really giving the customer something that they can put in their cell phone, that they can order, right? No, it's not. It doesn't. Monitoring and controlling, right? These are the 2 bigger pieces from a traditional project management standpoint. Track, review, and regulate the progress and performance of the project, right? Identify any areas in which changes to the plan are required and initiate the corresponding changes. And guess what? There's a process around change. There's a change management process, and you got to get these things approved. And there's a gate, and there's a way that they have to be written, right? And then you got to get on the schedule with someone to meet with them so that you can get this done, right? This is process, man. And it says it within Pmbok. There's these, change management. You have to be able to manage what's the change management plan, all right? All these things are not even working, functioning software. They're processes to manage a change. And by the way, that change may not even get put in, but there's a process around it. And that process typically takes weeks, okay? So again, I'm not beating up traditional project management. I'm not beating up the Pmbok. I'm simply saying that there are areas within that could be leaned out and more focused. Now, I will say this, looking at I think it's the 6th edition of Pmbok, there is an Agile practice guide. Now, what I saw in there was pretty, it just talked about some of the ceremonies. It talked about agility. It talked about lean process. Again, it is still a very waterfall heavy process, monolithic guide, okay? Now, I'm not going to talk about this. I'm not going to talk about this. So, but these are the 10 knowledge areas: quality, cost, schedule, scope. And again, we hit on a lot of those. And again, project manager is responsible, ultimately responsible for all that stuff. It's her job. She's got to get it. So had that light bulb that came on, right? I said, I love what I'm doing. Just want to do it a different way. I do. I looked over there and I said, hey, look at agility. This is awesome stuff. So we do it iteratively. And the role of a Scrum Master is, I'm not in charge of anything. Well, I'm in charge of some stuff, but I don't, wait. So, but I still work with this awesome team and I still add value by moving impediments, by helping them to be successful. And we do this in 2 weeks, right? It's Kanban, it may be even sooner than that, right? We got Scrum and we got Kanban. So let's just take a look at this. Scrum Master is a true leader who serves, and I love that. And that to me embodied where I wanted to be in my journey, right? That was my Agile journey summed up in 4 words: true leader who serves. The Scrum team, the Scrum Master, she serves the Scrum team and the larger organization. She supports the product owner and the Scrum team on all aspects of work. Now, supports on all aspects of the work. So planning, there's estimating, executing, and delivering. Same basic things that you do as a project manager. But it's a different function, different responsibilities. Scrum Master does not have all the responsibility for delivery. That was awesome. It was awesome. But you're embedded with those folks, right? It's like in Iraq, you're embedded with your team. And I say this a lot: you swim together or you sink together. Let's swim together, right? But you swim together or you sink together. The primary responsibility of Scrum Master could be summarized as 4 things: teachers, we're coaching, right? We're coaching the Scrum team and we're coaching the product owner, right? We're helping the development team to self-manage. Self-management. Wait. So you're saying I'm not the one who's driving this train? I'm not the one who's responsible. I'm not the one who's making the decisions. I mean, those people who are actually writing the software, they're the ones who are making decisions. That's interesting, right? That's interesting. I'm removing impediments. I'm stopping blockers. I'm pushing things out of the way that would preclude the team from being successful, right? I'm serving the product owner, the dev team, and the organization, right? I love this quote too, and I try to put a nice little quote at the end of each slide, right? Remember, it's not the documentation that needs to be in sync, but the people. That is so true. It is so traditional waterfall versus agility. Documentation versus syncing the people to actually deliver that value, okay? Now, this is me, right? This is that good stuff. And I'm not going to read this because I think most of us here are Agile enthusiasts. We are Agilists. We've done this stuff. So I'm not going to bore you with these things. But I will say, for those who may not be in the Agile family yet, these things are not just a saying. So I'm going to just kind of read a couple of things here. So tools and processes are important, but it's more important to have competent people working together. Individual interactions over processes and tools. Good documentation is useful, right? Helping people to understand how the software is built and how to use it, right? The main development is that, right? It's development is for the creation of software, right? It's let's build it. Let me show you how to use it, right? And let's get it out there. Customer collaboration over contract negotiation. Contract is important, right? But it's not a substitute for working closely with the customers to discover what they need. Working closely with the customer to discover what they need. Project plan is important. That that project management plan, that 18-month plan that you sit down with your project manager and your scheduler and you look at, is great. But it must not be too rigid to accommodate change in technology or the environment. And that's one of the challenges is the traditional project management doesn't consume and allow a rapid change in consumption of environmental changes, stakeholder changes, priorities, and things like that. So I think to me, it's very succinct. This is not 49 steps. This is not, it is very succinct and it's very clean. It's very clean, very succinct. It works. I'm not saying it's perfect, but what I'm saying is this process and those things that I just communicated are key and critical to the business value, focusing on those things. Okay. I'm not going to touch those 12 Agile principles. We've all seen those. Just take a look and you can read on those. Traditional approach versus Agile approach. We talked through a couple of these things, but variable time, variable cost. This is a traditional approach, right? That iron triangle, right? Time, cost, and scope. Fixed scope, unstable quality. And that's the biggest piece of all this. It's the biggest piece is that quality, right? It's plan driven versus if on the other side over here, it's value driven and it's higher quality, right? And you build in variability of you build in that. It's built in. We expect change. That is what we do in an agile environment. We expect change and we plan for it. Not in the traditional sense, right? But in an agile environment, it's value driven, it's higher quality, and we expect change. Now, I stole this slide. I will admit to it. I'll give credit to the location that I got it. These are just the deltas, right? I don't say deltas, but project manager to Scrum Master. Driver, I'm a decision maker, I'm a controller. I'm the communications hub, I know it all, right? And I'm the translator. Where a Scrum Master is an enabler, a facilitator, a teacher, a supporter, and a protector. And to me, that speaks volumes to where I want it to be and what I wanted to do in my journey. And I got this from Mr. Toby, right? Toby Rao. I respect this guy quite a bit. And he was actually one of the catalysts for this, the title of this, right? He says, I was the last of the land group to actually present. And he said, I said, well, I don't really know what topic, and I don't want to do just the traditional stuff. He says, well, do what your topic should just come out of you, right? No one should say, hey, do this topic. It should just come to you. And it did. It totally came to me. And Toby says this, doing, versus being. Now I put it in the context of doing. From a project manager, I do these things, but from an agility perspective and a Scrum Master mindset, I be these. I am these things. I'm being these things, right? We talked about this. Project management. Now, this is not a slight against them or against the traditional project managers. I know what is best, right? I need to make the decisions, right? I'm going to focus on this, on status. Status is status is status. I need to know what's the status. What's the status? Is it 70% done? Is it 80% done? How much done is it? It's either done or it isn't, right? I see myself in the middle of everything. I have to be, driving these things, not where the rubber meets the road, which is where the team is, but because I'm the project manager, I have to drive these things. I'm the connector and the translator, right? I speak tech and I run over here and I can talk to the stakeholder. So you stay over there, developer, because I will talk to the stakeholder for you, all right? Versus being, Scrum Master mindset. The team knows what is best because they do it. They're writing the code, right? They're doing it every single day. Team needs to decide. They make the decisions. I focus on the health of the team, their well-being, to ensure that they have everything that they need to be successful. And this is something else that I say. My job, 2 jobs, is to remove impediments and to give you all the tools that you need to be successful. Now, but once I give you those tools, you got to build me something, right? You got to build me something. I see myself as an observer and supporter, and I am the enabler. Now, enabler can be a good connotation or a bad connotation. In this sense, it's a good connotation. It's enabling the team to be successful. It's enabling the team to do, right? To do. And I love this quote from Yoda: do or do not, there is no try. I know I'm kind I'm going to move along a little bit quicker because I know I'm taking a little bit of time. But I'm going to try to get us through this here in a couple minutes. But this is some really good stuff here. And I wish it were more interactive, but I will do my best to move us along. So this is that paradigm shift. And that is now you're making that transition from a traditional PM to a Scrum Master. What are the things that you need to do? First, there's a paradigm shift. And paradigm shift means a fundamental change in approach or in underlying assumptions, right? So don't try to be both project manager and Scrum Master. Don't do that. To really understand Scrum, practice. Just like you became a PMP, just like you understand risk, just like you understand burn, understand what the value add is of a retro, understand what the value is of your daily stand-ups, understand what the value add is of a refinement, right? Let go of tasks and statuses, right? Tasks and statuses don't drive. Task and status is just an update. It's just an update. 70% done isn't done. 80% done isn't done. Master Scrum. Understand what is Scrum. Understand what is the difference between Scrum and Kanban and less and safe. Know your craft and focus on the mindset change. Focus on thinking. Focus on being. Focus on being. Why change from project thinking? I can tell you why, right? And we'll try to do this in a couple minutes. Projects have a beginning and an end. Actually, value continues throughout. So in reality, they don't. You can continue doing and delivering value consistently. We do it every 2 weeks. Project scope is monolithic. It's not. It can be decomposed. It can be broken down into smaller, more deliverable, more easily manageable features and functionality. All right. Projects are unique. No, they're not. No, they're not. They're the same thing. They have a start. Well, I don't say they have a start. They have features. They have a customer who needs it, and there's a time that they want to get it, right? My goal is to get the project done on time and on budget. No, your job, your goal is to deliver value to the customer, to the end user. More projects started means more projects done. No, right? No. Let's stop starting, start finishing, right? Yeah, and I like this quote here. Everything can be learned. People with fixed mindsets, those who believe that abilities are fixed, are less likely to flourish than those with growth mindset. And what a growth mindset is those who believe that abilities can be developed. This is that shift thinking, right? That's shift thinking for success. Let's move from project thinking to value stream thinking, right? And I misspelled that one. But value streams, meaning that value is consistently delivered on cadence. Focus on delivery of business value, right? Let's establish stable cross-functional teams as basic building blocks. What does that mean? That means I am not the know-all, be-all technical expert. I have a developer, and I have a QA resource, right? And I may have a UX and UCD resource there as well. And I got a product owner who represents the business, the stakeholder. And I got a Scrum Master who's there to support that product owner and that team, right? So establish that, get that going, run with that, right? Work to capacity, right? So the capacity is, don't just say, hey, we're going to take all this scope and get it done in 6 months. Decompose it. What can you realistically do? How do you measure the capacity of your team? You can't just say, hey, we've got 600, you will start to say function points. We've got 600 function points, right? And you go, okay, well, I don't even know what that equates to in resources, but you have to figure that out. But in agility, right, you can look back, right? You can look back and see, okay, what's my velocity of this team, right? And we can work to that, and we can continually refine that so that we are able to deliver and work to capacity.
Hey, Aaron, Lakshmi here. Just a reminder, 10 minutes, and
Okay. I'm going to wrap up here. Give me 3 minutes. I'm going to try to get through this one.
Sure.
Okay? Look, that is the last slide. There we go. So, and I think, and I can't quote this for sure, but I think, so this is Ventera Corporation's quote, but I think Mr. Rao may have done this, but I will read it. Agile is a mindset that focuses self-organizing cross-functional teams to frequently deliver value on a regular cadence. It is a journey, not a destination. We strive to go beyond doing Agile. We want to be Agile. So with that, I want to say thank you very much. I will stop sharing right now, Lakshmi.
Hey, sure. Awesome. Thank you so much, Aaron. I think it's really great session. The way you've expressed your journey from working in Army and how you've got into the project management side and project management, what it takes to be a good project management, and then slowly moving into Scrum Master role. What it is that it makes it, and the transition to move from management to the Scrum Master role. I think you've perfectly put it in. The beautiful thing is the quotes in the beginning, end of the slide. I really love that. I think it's really great session. And if you have questions, please feel to raise your hand, or we can promote you to the panelists so you can talk, or
No,
feel
I
free
love
to
that.
ask
Yeah, I would love
questions.
that.
Yeah, or feel free to type your question, and I can happy to read it out for Aaron.
I see a raised hand from Arutra.
Okay. Let me see if I can promote.
Yeah, I'm trying to do the same thing, Lakshmi.
Oh yeah, hold on.
I have given him the privilege to talk.
Okay.
If he wants to go ahead.
Hi, good evening.
Arutra, you have to unmute yourself.
Okay, if not, just feel free to
Type if you want to type your questions. And
yeah. Second option is please type your question in the chat window.
Yeah, so I see one. Actually, I see a couple here.
Yeah, I see from yes. What is the best way or place site to study this methodology?
Oh wow. Scrum.org, Scrum Alliance, Scaled Agile. There are several. There are several, and I can actually, Michelle, I can I actually know you, Michelle, so I can get the information to you. But
Yeah.
definitely Scrum Alliance. In
Sure.
Lakshmi,
Yes.
Yeah.
In the interest of time, I'm also going to other questions. Have you?
And I think, oh, sorry.
Oh yeah, someone is talking. Go ahead.
Hi,
Yeah,
this is
Tia.
Hi, this is Tia. And speaking of Scrum Alliance, what do you think about the new changes in the 2020 Scrum Guide update, and also about the new concept of there's a book coming out called Agile 2 with, it's like battle of the processes and concepts.
Right. So to your first question, I actually presented at the organization the 2017 versus 2020. I think there's a lot of good stuff in there. Not a lot changed, but they did focus more on the self-organizing versus the self-managing. So I think it's good. But again, I don't think there's a whole lot of changes that were applied. But again, I like the fact that we're constantly evolving. I do appreciate.
Okay.
And to your second question, I have not.
Oh, I'm sorry. Does that term mean anything different to you? Self-organizing versus self-managing?
Yes. For me, the self-organization piece is key and critical. The self-management is part and parcel to what the Scrum Master and the team does. But that self-organizing piece, I think, is critical, because it is you pick up that particular scope or that particular piece of functionality or that story, and it's you as part of that team will organize around that. Now, the management piece of it, I think you do that as part of that team. They help you with cross-functional dependencies. They help you to support one another, and they move out impediments. So I think there's definitely a difference between self-organization and self-management.
So I have another question from Drew. What are the most enjoyable parts of your journey from traditional project management to agile project management, and what were the most challenging?
So the most enjoyable would be these folks that I work with, Nash and Anju and Lakshmi and Toby and Mel. I'm Meenakshi, and Mel as well. It is a family. Agility it's it's like we're a bunch of tree hugging hippies. All right, that's our focus. The harder parts, I will say, is there are more certifications, which means there's more testing and there's more learning, which is good. Right, we constantly evolve. So I think, you know, knowing great folks and meeting these great people, I think is the plus. And some of the deltas are just there's multiple certifications and there's constant change, and you have to stay up on your game. For he says, how have Lakshmi and Aaron managed to not age over the last 3 years? Whatever, dude.
Oh, there's another interesting question. Have you ever met a Scrum Master who started as a Scrum Master who wanted to be a project manager rather than a Scrum Master?
Wow, that I've never had anyone ask me that question. And I will say, I have not met one who came over from the dark side and wanted to go back. But that's just me. And again, I'm not saying, I shouldn't say that the project management is the dark side, but I have not met a Scrum Master who said, I want to go back to those 49 processes, right? So, any other questions, by the way? And I know we've only got like a minute, but this has been great. This has been great.
Yeah, I think it's from Tia. If you have time, what are your thoughts on Agile 2?
You know what? I need to sit. I'll be honest with you. I've traveled and I have not sat down with it, but it is on my to-do. So I can definitely get back to you on my some noting it now on Agile 2. I know there's been a lot of conversations around story pointing. Is there value add in that? And you know, so, but again, I'm going to definitely, it's on my list of things to do.
Thank you.
I think that's all for the questions side. And Anju, you're going to share about the upcoming
Thanks, Aaron, for a
session.
very, very insightful session. We all enjoyed hearing from you. And thank you, everyone, for joining our session. Our next session would be on April 8th. Please stay tuned for the announcement of speaker. We look forward for you guys joining us for our upcoming session in April. Thank you so much. Have a wonderful night. Thanks and bye-bye.
Thanks, everybody. Thanks for joining. Good night. Thanks, Aaron.